Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for Renaissance Periodization. Let's talk about controversy, virtue signaling fitness coaches. No way, that's a myth. JK, they're real. So it has become fashionable in a certain area of the fitness industry for many coaches to say that being fit and in shape isn't all that. And so far, I agree. Dope. True. Being fit makes you fit and not much else. Super. But some of these folks take it a step further. They claim that being in shape and posting pictures of yourself with skimpy clothing or shirtless pics online as a coach and person who delivers fitness information has a couple of distinct downsides, more than I would be comfortable saying. First, they say that it can intimidate regular folks first entering fitness and can make still other folks feel bad about themselves because everyone, including you, is in such great shape, and why aren't they? That putting your mostly naked selfies on social media is kind of an illusory advertising practice. It's like, wow, sort of like, look like me if you do these things. In reality, people just look like better versions of themselves, so maybe there's not a lot of truth in that. And the big kicker at the end is almost all the time, they used to do this practice themselves where they would post tons of shirtless selfies or, skimpy selfies, and they no longer do it and they think it's cringe that they used to do it. And if you're looking for the quintessential example, with all due respect, we're allowed to disagree. Mr. Ben Carpenter, who is an excellent social media influencer, but disagree with him on this thing, and thus the genesis of this video. He's got a post on his social media. Go give him a follow on Instagram. And he basically talks about exactly this, that he used to post all this content and it kind of feels like it's cringy now. And now he doesn't have a lot of shirtless pictures of himself up because he's kind of going in a different direction. And some of that might totally be true, and it's not the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God. So there's more to say on this, in my opinion. Here's my addition to all of this. What is the other side of this whole equation, this whole spectrum? First, people that are inspired by your physique exist. And this potentially gives you a huge net positive impact by showing your physique. So if we can split people up into roughly 3 groups that actually look at your profile and look at the post, you're going to get a group of people that is getting a net negative out of seeing your shirtless selfie. Those people are real. And all of us are maybe at some point in our lives that person. There's going to be another group of people that it's just neutral. They're like, oh yeah, it's the guy with abs. Nobody lost, nobody found. And there is still another group of people that get a lot out of seeing that. They're inspired by it. They're motivated by it. It drives them to do better. It drives them to educate themselves. It drives them to go into the diet with a bit more seriousness, go into workouts with a bit more seriousness. And then there's a huge net benefit for them, or even a small net benefit. The idea that there is some research supporting that some folks have a bad time looking at shirtless selfies, which is true, some folks really do, doesn't seem to address the relative balance of what those 3 groups are. Now, I can assure you that the vast majority of people just frankly don't give a fuck. And the balance of how many people get inspired or don't get inspired is by no means clear to me. And it is quite a presupposition to think that, well, clearly there's lots of these people that are just overwhelmed or intimidated by the physique picture and not enough folks that are inspired by it. First of all, you don't know that. And second of all, there is a mechanism at play in social media which countervails that tendency. And here it is. The people that have a bad time looking at your pictures are unlikely to follow you for a long time. We all follow some accounts that make us hate and hate and hate, and we still follow them. But most of us, over the long term, end up following them less. We end up curating our accounts to follow the accounts that we're most interested in, and often the ones that give us a good time, right? Which is why most of my Instagram is like dogs doing tricks and seals doing tricks. The happiness. So over time, if you're presenting a version of you to the world, let's say often shirtless, the fraction of people that have a bad time that hang around is going to start to fall off. And the fraction of people that are having a good time, is going to start to go up. So at your first presentation on social media, you might rub some folks the wrong way. And folks will come into your profile and look at it and maybe get rubbed the wrong way. But most of those folks kindly see themselves out. It is really a thing that the vast majority of the people that follow you long term, they like what you have to say. Yes, hater followers are a thing. To be honest, that's mostly on them. You shouldn't be following people just to hate the fuck out of them. You can if you like, but then you're just injecting hatred into your life. I've got a few accounts I follow just to hate them. Like one of my coaches, Broderick Chavez, says, one of my practices that I do every day is I pull up a list of people I really hate, just so focus my hate on really hating them. There's time for that. Not the best practice in the world for long-term psychological health, but hey, it can work. Most people will follow you because they like what you have to put out. So you don't have to worry a ton about if that mojo you're putting out into the world doesn't jive with everyone. Because over the long term, social media shifts in such a way that you mostly just speak to the people that are ready to hear your message in the way that you're ready to present. So long as you're not being actively toxic, which posting a shirtless selfie is anything but. Next. Some people come to social media looking for answers to questions. How do I get in shape? How do I make it easy? How do I make it something that works for me really well? And a lot of folks have unbelievable amount of information to give. Mr. Ben Carpenter is an excellent, just plethora of super valuable information to put out among many other fitness influencers, of course. And he really is top tier. But if I come to his content and I don't see a shirtless selfie of his, as a regular person, I may just not even know what his relationship to fitness really even is. Is this a person I should trust? The number one way, whether we like it or not, that you establish trust in fitness is to show the proof of the pudding. And like you being jacked or lean or some combination of jacked or lean or posting, maybe you just look regular, but you used to look really, really out of shape and you post a couple transformation pics every now and again to really remind people who the hell you are. That is such a huge attractor to people that you may be able to help way more people on that balance by putting out your best version of yourself. Even if it's a little cringy and icky that you're always shirtless, maybe not always, but often shirtless, that's what brings the people in. And the more people you bring in, given that you have a really good message, and almost all these folks have an excellent message to how to help you get in shape, then that increased volume of bringing people in, make sure that they help as many people as possible. Some of those people are brought in and it's toxic for them. They don't like the shirtless selfies. They might fuck right off. But if you bring in 10 times or 5 times or 2 times the number of people, or 1.5 times the number of people with more inclusion of shirtless selfies and little skimpy sports bras, then maybe you can just help so many more people that it's worth it. And lastly, there is something to be said for just doing your best as the person that you are right now. But there's also something to be said for owning what got you to where you got to be. And most of these folks, and I'm not singling out Ben Carpenter by any means in this particular example, you guys got your following by putting skimpy, shirtless, or sports bra pictures of yourself. That's how you built 90% of your following. Just because you had read some critical theory or social justice work one afternoon and you've re-architected your worldview, it doesn't mean that your now worldview of, well, I'm not going to show anything skimpy is the thing that makes you popular. And even if it is making you popular, you found a new niche, which now you're speaking to those people and you still get lots of clicks. You got most of your following by looking the part and by posting those skimpy pictures. To some extent, and this is just a personal opinion of mine, this last part, there's some value in owning that shit. To saying to yourself, yes, I did post lots of shirtless selfies. And yes, it did do a combination of not great things for some people and great things for others. Because here's a real big deal, real big statement. There is nothing you will ever do on the internet that is public facing that will please everyone. There are no total benefit equations out there. There's nothing you could put out that is 100% positive, because you miss out on opportunity cost of doing even more positive if you were to go shirtless. Some people are pissed no matter what. When I'm really in a fucking mood and I'm scrolling, which is a bad idea, when I get to happy-go-lucky people that are like, take life by the horns every day, I'm like, fuck you. I'll take you by the fucking horns, you little bitch. Shit. Is there a dislike button? Some people you just can't please. And a lot of the same people, not all of them, that get real triggered by shirtless selfies they're just in a really bad place up here in the short term often. And yeah, you don't really have to worry about them too much because they're going to have a better day and then like you later. So if you are worried about a potentially very small fraction of people getting triggered from your posts, and you try to re-architect your social media personality to not trigger those people, even though that's what got you to where you are anyway, and potentially your advertising your physique is what helps even more people, and most people don't get triggered, it's a questionable practice. And that's all this video is meant, is a sort of starting point for conversation and a starting point for questions. My view on it is this. I think it's okay to offer fitness content with clothing on, with minimal clothing, and if Instagram let me, no clothing at all. That's my preferred way. You guys know me on OnlyFans. A lot of you follow my OnlyFeed account. Jared's OnlyFeed account is the best, second best OnlyFeed account in the world. Just try to help in your own way that you feel comfortable with. If shirtless isn't for you, that doesn't make it a net negative. It might just be a net positive. It's probably a bigger net positive than with your shirt on, but there's no need to shit talk it, because it's just another way of doing a great thing, outreach and help. And there's by no means clear that it's a net negative and harming a bunch of people. Even if claiming that a shirtless selfie is icky, for the SJW signaling, virtue signaling points, gives you a lot of clicks on that post, that still might not be a compelling reason to start to kind of smack talk that side of the aisle and say, well, you know what? Posting shirtless selfies is really a bad idea and it's just unwise because it leads people to feel bad about themselves. So what about all those other positives, right? I think posting shirtless is cool. I think posting with a shirt is cool. I think it's all good as long as you're bringing value to the person, and through time and social media, when you bring that value and that positivity and that attempt to help people in whatever way you do it, your niche, people are going to find your niche. They're going to flock to you. The message that you're giving is going to be found by the people who are most apt to receive it. And then over time, everyone on social media has having a good time, except for Liver King and everyone that follows him. Just kidding, just Liver King. I made my point. Now I have to show you a magic trick. My point isn't quite good enough because it doesn't have that personal story and that vitriolic anger and hate. I'm not very capable of getting angry, but my wife is, and through the magic of science, wife, Dr. Christle herself, my lovely wife, my better half, people say that about us. So, 2 questions for you.
Sure.
One is, what terrible lawnmower accident happened to your clothing that resulted in part of it getting just cut right off? And 2, tell me about, so you were the person that alerted me to the existence of these types of posts, and we went on a bit of a social media deep dive, or what I like to call an S&M deep dive, social and media, that is. So first of all, like all due respect, Mr. Ben Carpenter, who is kind of like a sort of focus of the exemplary behavior here, from everything I can ever find, great guy, the best of intentions, and a great follow in addition to that. But this particular thing is just this argument for the sake of the idea, not the individual. And what is it? Something struck you, something stuck out for you that got you triggered as shit. Explain.
Just thinking about my entire weight loss journey for the last, 41 years or so.
Why don't you tell us just a couple minutes about what your relationship to your body weight has been? Why don't you start when you were a kid? What was your exact birth weight? I'm kidding.
Actually, 9 pounds, 8 ounces.
Oh, that's a big girl.
My mom is 4'10", so she was about 180 pounds when she delivered me.
Oh, I didn't know you were Hatties.
Yeah, so I always knew that I was a little bit bigger than every other kid. I was about 20 pounds on average heavier than most of my peers. I always noticed that my hunger was a lot higher than my peers. I remember being invited to eat at my friend's house, and my friends' parents would just comment on what a great appetite I have and why can't my next door neighbor be less of a picky eater, because Christle, finishes her plate and loves food and is very thankful for the food that's on the table. So,
and meanwhile, you were 900 pounds.
And I love sports. Just for whatever reason, I loved to eat, and it went up and down and up and down. And the last, I think 10 years ago, right before I hit med school, I lost a bunch of weight. I discovered lifting. So I thought I was sort of on the right track to getting the physique that I wanted, and just dieted myself right into the ground. And my hunger was so out of control. I remember laying awake in the middle of the night with hunger pangs that were just so intense that I ended up failing medical school anatomy. And I had to repeat that class over again. And it was at that time that in 2012, that I decided I probably was going to never diet for a very long time and just continue to lift weights. And I lifted weights for the next 10 years and kind of put dieting on the back burner until 2 years ago, and started to slowly work my way down from 190 pounds. And currently I sit at about 143.
So you finished your medical education at 190 pounds.
Yes.
And now, about 2 years later, you're at 143.
Correct.
And you're on your way down to get even a bit lower still.
Fair enough.
Yes. And so when fitness influencers that have, at least for a long time, soaked in the sun of being people that everyone wants to have sex with and rub their face on their abs, when they've lived that life and they tell you that being fit and lean shouldn't be a priority, it isn't important and is not all that, how does that strike you?
Very uncomfortable. I've spent the last couple of years trying to wrestle with that and trying to be okay with that idea of it's not about how you look, because that idea isn't new. People have been preaching that for the last 10 years on and off that I've been on social media, that it's not worth it to have abs. They're
Why
overrated.
do all those people have abs, though?
Right. And so it's almost, the analogy is being rich and telling somebody in a third world country that, having money isn't really worth it, where, they don't have any running water. I think the hardest part is I've never had that. I've never had that time in the sun. And
of being a little bebopper.
Yeah, having abs, having defined muscles, having this sort of physique that these people have had and been.
It gets the clicks on social media.
Yes, admittedly so. And there is some, I can see where they are going with this. But I think the biggest thing is, yes, they've had their time in the sun. They've been very privileged with their size. And
a privilege maybe they earned.
Yeah, earned, genetics, whatever. And good for them. I'm in a
privilege
place.
Is great.
Yeah, I'm in a place emotionally, mentally, where I can look at somebody who is straight sized or has abs.
I knew you were going to use that term.
And it's like, whatever, you do you. Hats off to you. But the fact that you have to take that and call it cringe for somebody who's wanted it for so long, it's like a knife in my heart, emotionally. Mm-hmm. And to not just have that and crap on it, but it's also just sort of, hard for me to sort of describe what that feeling is. It almost makes me feel even worse for wanting that.
Well, I think that's the idea.
And for a while, the fact that, why can't I have this? Why does this, I'm not hurting anybody by chasing this. I know what the trade-offs are. And I think for a long time, I really had to struggle with that. Mm-hmm. These people are telling me I'm bad for wanting this.
Yeah.
Am I really truly doing something terrible to my body, my health, somebody else's body, somebody else's health? And the truth of the matter is somebody is going to be upset with you and hate you for no matter, for just even existing. So if you can...
Have you been in our comments section?
Oh, gosh.
Kidding. Love you guys.
I've been called a man before on YouTube and on other places of the
internet. Like a man to me.
Right. So word up. So it's really...
raining men. Girl.
Yeah, it's hard to comprehend when somebody says that it's not worth it when you've been chasing after that for so long and you've just wanted a taste of what it's like to step into the sun.
Well, so you've been, let's just call it what it is. You've been pretty fat. I've been pretty fat.
Yeah, no, I've been fat. Yeah. I've been a smoker.
Scott, the video guy, stop laughing. He's out there cheesing. Yeah. So you didn't think that looked or felt very good to you.
Not only did it not look good, it actually felt physically, emotionally, mentally draining.
Yeah.
Just having the extra weight, my joints hurt. My walking a block at a regular pace would give me back pumps.
Oh yeah,
that
I've
are
been
unreal.
that fat before.
Yeah. Unable to carry things, unable to do house chores.
Sure. And that wasn't fun.
No.
And then now, and you've been a bit leaner before and other times past, but now that you're getting, well, unequivocally to your leanest and beyond, has it been a worse and worse experience as you understand that the patriarchy has entered you and irrevocably changed you? Or has it been feeling better and better the leaner you get?
It's been feeling much better the leaner I get. I have more energy to do stuff around the house. I feel like I'm a much more productive team player. I smile a lot more often. The way I project myself to the world is much happier. And I wish I could have said the same for me at 190, but I'll be honest. 2 years ago when we left Las Vegas, I remember athletes.
Bitch done ate half of Las Vegas and taking the shit with her. Am I right, fellas?
Oh yeah. Oof.
Good times.
Yeah, those were good times. We ate a lot. I ate a lot of sushi. I also drank a lot of alcohol, A lot of the athletes, I didn't even want to say goodbye. They were like, hey, thanks so much for being, such a great doc, Dr. G. And I just looked at them like, yeah, I really want to crawl out of my fucking skin right now.
I'm going to go be fat somewhere else.
I'm leaving. Bye. I just had this, I don't want you to look at me right now. I'm miserable inside. And there is nothing that, no amount of therapy or self-help books or Instagram little psychotherapy posts could help me feel otherwise. I had to do that work within.
Mm-hmm. And a part of that work was actually getting in shape.
Yes.
So do you think that maybe, what do you think about when people say, sometimes they mean this with all their best intentions, that maybe you're a victim of kind of like, hegemonic, patriarchal, top-down programming, convincing you that skinny is beautiful, and you're just kind of flailing half-mast flag in the wind, tattered by the ravages of essentially just like social programming that at every step, every magazine, every book, every TV program told you thin is beautiful, thin is beautiful, thin is beautiful. Do you find that intellectually compelling? Do you find it emotionally compelling?
I remember very early on growing up, I thought that was the case. And I, one by one, started cutting people out of my life. I started to cut out magazines because I thought that they were doing some sort of having a negative impact on my life. I've cut people out of my life because I thought they were having some sort of negative impact on my life. I've definitely clapped back at family members. And as I sat alone with my own thoughts and really worked on myself, the biggest thing that came out of it was, this is me. This is what I want. And I'm just going to stop feeling tired and guilty for wanting these things.
Mm-hmm. And these things being
having a physique,
fitter version of yourself.
Right. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I just owned that and became okay with that decision that I can now look at, Vogue magazine and really appreciate, you got some skinny model here doing her fashion thing. And like, hey, that's cool. I can appreciate it for what it is instead of making it feel, feeling terrible inside because I don't look like that. I'm never going to look like that. And that's okay. That took a long time for me to be okay and comfortable with.
And was that comfort enhanced, detracted by, or irrelevant to the fact that you've been getting leaner and taking control of your physique? Is it easier to be comfortable with skinny models if you're yourself want to be thin but are nowhere near it? Or is it easier to be comfortable if you are incrementally getting more fit and feeling your own swag?
I think it really doesn't matter as far as models go because they don't really say anything in magazines, right? It's just, here's this art form. They don't push that narrative of, I've had my time in the sun as a, fashion model. I'm going to do something else now. If it had that messaging, we'd have a much different conversation. But I've been okay with looking at Vogue magazine and looking at fashion models for a while, no matter what kind of size I am.
Because they're fucking weird anyway, right? Like, it's like if cocaine was a person. But with fitness influencers, you have a particular barb. And that specifically, because we've talked about this before, if I may try to articulate it.
Totally.
It's people who are lean often, almost always have been even leaner before, got most of their clout from being lean, and then they flip the script and start talking about how being lean is overrated. But there is a way to do that which is balanced, which is, I think, to say, look, like, being lean makes you lean, and if it makes you happy, it makes you happy, but sometimes it doesn't make you happy, and it's not going to solve all your fucking problems.
Right.
Rent is still due if you're lean, one way or another. But some of these people take it to an extreme, and they start to say, look, like, being lean is a huge mistake. It's a goal you shouldn't strive for. Yeah. It's a bottomless pit. There's no end to it. It doesn't make you happier to be leaner. And I guess your beef with that is what? Is it the hypocrisy? What do you think it is?
There definitely the hypocrisy. For some of those people who make those types of posts, in order to get the clickbait, they will actually post, in addition to the text message, they'll put their stage lean photos.
I love it.
Yeah,
here's a picture of me with abs, and let me tell you why abs are bad. You're like, but I clicked on this picture because abs are good. I guarantee you, 90% of the likes on that picture is people not reading the fucking text. They just liked the abs. It's the ultimate con.
So the hypocrisy with that is insane. And then also, you don't know what people, like, how are you're kind of crapping on everybody else's goals. You don't know what everybody else's goals are. Why are, all you're doing now is you're making people who want abs feel bad. So I think definitely to your point, giving it more of a nuanced approach, like, having abs has its trade-offs. It is what it is. It's not like this glorious thing, but it's not like the worst thing ever either. Yes. I know that also doesn't get the clicks.
Sure.
So,
but not everything that gets clicks is a good thing. So maybe the message here between the two of us is, if you think that there are other ways to go about pushing your brand that isn't shirtless selfies, slow clap, amazing, great. If you think there are other looks and mindsets that don't involve extreme fitness that are valuable, amazing, talk about those. But maybe we can all move a little further along if we spent a little less effort talking crap about a certain thing and instead focused on the positives of the other thing. It's not that having abs and being lean is bad. Trust me, guys, I don't want to pull up my shirt, but I'm pretty fucking lean, you know what I'm saying? I've been real lean. I've had veins in my abs, and it's dope. It's fucking sweet. It's not bad. No part of it was like triggering to me. It was like, yeah, it's cool. It's a great thing, but also so many other things are great. It's great to be in just normal shape, or it's even like, I've said this on a previous video, I love Lizzo. And when people are like, but she's fat, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Lizzo has so much attitude that it does not matter. And fat people are fucking dope. I love them. It's just kind of love for everyone in their own special way, as opposed to being like, well, fitness stinks and it's cringy. Like, no, it doesn't. And if you are triggered by people who are lean, that's time for you to do some work, between the the ears there, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
I guess we are talking shit, aren't we?
Yeah. But I will, yeah, I guess we are.
But we're trying to do it nice. This is Christle being nice. You should see her off camera.
Stop.
That's what I say to her. Oh my God, stop. Don't all the mean people always say I'm a nice person?
Yeah, that's true.
Say something nice.
I really like your shirt today. It's
That's a lie. You told me before the shirt sucks and I was an idiot.
No, it doesn't.
You told me right off camera I was stupid.
No,
You're
I
like,
didn't.
Mike, you're dumb. And I was like, why are you telling me this? You punch me in the face.
Punching's for later.
Oh my. That's the S&M. Any closing thoughts? What about people that are coming into the fitness world and they're looking at all these shirtless, naked people, and they're also looking at people who are covered up and telling them, don't look at the shirtless, naked people. What advice do you have for them? They want to look a certain way and they want to find their place in the fitness world. What's your best advice?
I would say really think about the trade-offs of, what are the pros, what are the cons of getting to this point? What do I need to do to get to this goal? And decide for yourself if it's worth it. The last thing you would ever want is to have somebody else influencing your decisions and you deciding that, to live your life according to some random schmo on Instagram or TikTok, because, what you really want in life is just, bad.
Yeah. Decide for yourself. But as a fitness schmo, let me help you decide. Download the RP Hypertrophy app so we can make money. And by we, I mean me. How much money do I make? Nothing. See? The butlers have it all. Dr. Christle, huge pleasure having you on.
Well,
Thank you so much. You look great, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Looking like a little snack.
Jesus.
You don't think I'm going to hit my wife in public? Girl, you must be crazy. A little cut-off bullshit you wearing. Anyway, time to go do adult things with my wife. Scott the video guy, switch the role. Let's hit that side. OnlyFans time. Folks, see you later.